All right, man, we back. Mercy Sports Talk. I want to go live twice this week. Today and tomorrow. Today it'll be Pistons. Tomorrow it'll be Lions. Almost to the combine, but today was the big day around the NBA, and it almost looked like it was going to completely disappoint, but it didn't. And Andre Drummond got moved for the 40 ball. I say that jokingly. A lot of other Pistons that was expected to get moved didn't get moved. So let's talk about kind of where the trade deadline leaves the Pistons and pretty much where's the direction of this franchise is going. Once again, I appreciate everybody for checking in. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, bell icon button, so you won't miss another video. Don't forget, we on all social media: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Reach out to the email as well. All that is in the description. Just hit the drop down box. When I do a story, I always put the source or article link in the description, so you can check that out for yourself. And if you want to make a donation to the channel, PayPal, Cash App, all that information is in the description. Best way to donate is just hit that share button. For sure. And yeah, man. I found out somebody hit me on Twitter. I was driving. I was coming from doing another video, pulling up at the house, and somebody said, "What you think about that Drummond trade?" So instantly, I went to Twitter. Obviously, I went to the trending section, and Kevin O'Connelly reported that they had traded, Brandon Knight come back to the Pistons, and I didn't know Brandon Knight was still in the league. John Henson, ain't heard of him in a long time. I think he went to the University of North Carolina, played at Milwaukee, and a second round pick for Andre Drummond. And they completely botched that deal. All right. And before we talk about it, obviously Reggie Jackson did get moved. That may signal other things for him. He may have to go overseas next season. They refused to trade Christian Woods to the Boston Celtics and the Houston Rockets. Luke Kennard didn't get moved over protection of a draft pick with the Phoenix Suns. Markieff Morris didn't get moved to the Clippers. His brother instead from New York went to the Clippers. So nobody really got moved other than Andre Drummond, and really what makes you think, where is this franchise at? Fred Jackson, what's going on? Solomon Robinson, what's going on? Walter Adams. Let's start with the trade with Andre Drummond. Obviously, I'm still trying to. It's still surreal. You know what I'm saying? They gave him away for the 40 ball. Like he was a hotel trick. All right. But the reason why they traded him and just didn't let him walk in free agency is because he was going to opt in. That's why they feared that he would opt into that contract, and they didn't want to pay him 28, 29, $30 million next offseason. So they panicked. They waited to the last minute. Nobody really bid on an offer. Nobody was going to give him a first round draft pick or nothing. So, ultimately, I don't know what John Henson contract looked like. But ultimately, that's what they can get for him. And that just let Andre Drummond know his value in the NBA. For them to trade him in a division, not just the conference, they trade him in a division. Cavaliers are a division foe. Chicago, Indiana, Milwaukee, all those are division foes. They traded him inside the division, you know, kind of flabbergasting. You know what I'm saying? So, it leaves us basically. I obviously, you don't know. They right here in the middle of the road. Obviously Andre Drummond was their best player active since Blake Griffin ain't been active. So obviously they will get worse without Andre Drummond. But what really is the identity of this team? Is it a rebuild? Are they just going to ship off parts and let free agents fall off in the offseason? He got 1 year left. Tony Snell got a couple years left. Reggie Jackson got 1 year left. So you look at it, I just think they just gonna bite the bullet, let salary fall off. Reggie Jackson probably gonna be playing over there in China, trying to chase Stephon Marbury records. um, but for Cleveland, let's look at that. Look at their aspect from a aspect for a minute. For the Cavaliers, what do it mean for them? I'm hearing they may buy out Tristan Thompson, even though he refused. But what does that leave Cleveland? You know what I'm saying? Andre, Kevin Love, Darius Garland, Colin Sexton, you know, I really don't know what they train of thought is about getting Andre Drummond, but I guess when you get somebody that cheap, why not? Do Andre Drummond want to stay in Cleveland is the question. I think Andre Drummond wants to stay wherever the money's at. I think that's the God honest opinion. But if he stays in Cleveland, that's somebody that you got to play 4 times a year, I believe. 2 times in Cleveland, 2 times in Detroit. So Andre Drummond to be able to wreak his revenge on the Detroit Pistons. But other than Cleveland, they just like us. I don't know what they're thinking. You know, they're a little bit younger than us. I mean, with Garland and Colin Sexton, but really, will they grow into stars? Who knows? You know, the kid from UFC, will he grow into a star? Who knows? Kevin Love, kind of like Blake Griffin, a little bit injured a lot. You know what I'm saying? Now they take on Andre Drummond. You know, Cavaliers is pretty much a mirror of us. You know what I'm saying? We might slightly have a coaching advantage. They might have slightly have a front office advantage over us. But really, you know, Cleveland and Detroit is basically it's a parallel there. You know, but for the Pistons, I think they're gonna be in rebuild mode after this trade. I think you're gonna see Reggie Jackson move on through free agency, and that's if somebody want him. Let's just let you know Reggie Jackson has no value. All right, Reggie Jackson has no value. You know, and when you look at Reggie Jackson having no value, because nobody wanted to trade for him. This is a guy with 1 year left on his contract, $18 million. He possibly can help you off the bench. He possibly can give you some points off the bench. He a big guard. He can guard ones and twos. And in today's NBA, he probably guards some threes. He provides some shooting. Just let Reggie Jackson know that, you know, he won't be seeing another $89 million contract. He may not see another NBA contract again. So Reggie Jackson has no value. There's a lot of people asking on social media, why isn't Reggie Jackson getting traded? Because he has no value. Even coming back, showing a little bit of life, you know, for the past few games and showing that he can do some things. Nobody wants to deal with Reggie Jackson. All right, Luke Kennard, was the asking price too high for a first round draft pick? I mean, subjective. Depending on what the protection of the pick is, the protection top 3, top 2, top 5, top lottery 15, depends. You know what I'm saying? So they keep Luke Kennard. He has a team option, I believe, for next year, which they'll pick up at around $5.5 million. And then eventually they're going to be in a Caldwell Pope situation where in 2 years they got to make a decision. Will they extend Luke Kennard, or will, you know, they try to free agent, they try to trade him like Andre Drummond and give him away for a bag of better made chips in the Fago. That's what it boiled down to. Next year, if they pick up, I think Luke Kennard option, you're gonna be facing the same situation on a smaller scale with Luke Kennard like Andre Drummond. You know what I'm saying? That's why it was important for them to trade Luke Kennard this year, so a team will have at least 2 more seasons of Luke, or a season and a half of Luke Kennard left. So next year they're gonna have to make a decision after picking up that option. If Luke Kennard don't show you that much, then Luke Kennard is probably going to, you know, be like Caldwell Pope and like Drummond, and you're probably gonna lose him for nothing like Caldwell Pope, or you're gonna lose him for a little bit of nothing like they did with Andre Drummond. So, you know, really the next half a season, half this season, and next season is gonna be good for Luke Kennard. If Luke Kennard ball out and somehow establish himself as a semi all-star, you're gonna see Luke Kennard get a Buddy Hield, Jaylen Brown type of contract. So depends, you know, with Luke Kennard. It's a lot riding on the tendonitis and the knee. It's a lot riding on his consistency. The ability is there. You know, he's a rare player in the NBA because he has the mid range. He can get his own shot. He can get to the bucket. He can shoot it. I mean, he's a complete offensive threat. He can even create a little bit for others. So it is what it is. And Zentify say, bruh, this didn't help our rebuild process. We only got a second. Basically, Brandon Knight Henson averaging 5 points a game. We got more for Bullock. I think he did more from Bullock. But yeah, you know, basically, if you look at let's look up John Henson's contract real quick. You know what I'm saying? Let's look up his contract. And that'll tell us more about about him, about the move. All right. And he has this is his last year on the contract. So Henson has an expiring contract with no options on it at $9 million a year. Might basically 10 million, 9.7. Now Brandon Knight contract, and Cleveland must have had some money to play with, because Brandon Knight contract shouldn't be that big. I haven't really heard from him in a long time. Yes, he had. Oh, okay, this makes sense now. This is last year under making $15.6 million. So it explains. John Henson and Brandon Knight, they were expiring contracts. So they basically are exceptions. You know, basically you getting the Drummond salary off the cap. All right. So now you clearing around $27 million off the cap. So the Pistons save money there. And what you got to understand, people say, well, Tom Gores don't care about money. Nobody, no owner wants to go on the salary, the luxury tax, you know, for a team, period. Not even teams that win championships. None of these people want to go into luxury tab, let alone a team that may or may not make the playoffs. Dre or DRE. All right. I'm surprised we didn't trade Derrick Rose because this is the highest value he had in years. We should have traded him for some young players. Okay. The thing about Derrick Rose is his former agent is an advisor for the Pistons, and I think it's a personal thing. You know how Matthew Stafford is cool with the Fords. I think Derrick Rose is comfortable. His cousin or his nephew, excuse me, Dwayne Rose plays at the University of Detroit Mercy. It's close to Chicago. I truly think Derrick Rose poured his heart out to the Pistons and said he did not want to be traded. I think Derrick is comfortable in Detroit. That's why. Derrick Rose don't care about championships. I think Derrick Rose care more about his family, staying healthy, whereas his brother and his best friend can eat off that Adidas contract. So I think it was a personal feeling not to trade Derrick Rose. Now, they wanted a lottery pick for Derrick Rose in a trade, but yeah, I like to see them have one after Oubre or one after Kyle Kuzma as well. But just as they was about to trade him, he had a groin injury. So, last year happened when they didn't trade Blake at the trade deadline. He got injured. I expect the same thing to happen to Derrick Rose. But hey, Derrick Rose comfortable. I think it's a personal feelings involved there. 2023 second round pick, two bums. Pistons suck. Well, the two bums was to clear the cap off. So they cleared almost whatever Andre's salary was, $27 million. They cleared the cap off. So the players didn't matter. It wasn't about the players. It was about clearing the cap. They got two expiring contracts. So they got nothing for Andre Drummond. The reason why they took the trade for Andre Drummond, let me explain this to y'all, and didn't let him walk. I know people say, oh, they might as well have let Andre Drummond walk. The reason why they didn't let Andre Drummond walk, this story came out about a day or two ago, depending on the time. Excuse me. The reason they didn't let Andre Drummond walk is because he was going to opt in next year. That's what they feared. So they didn't want to play Andre Drummond $28 million next year. He would have been just as hard to trade because once again, he's in the contract year. The Pistons feared so much that Drummond was going to opt in because the market wasn't going to be what he thought he was going to be. So they panicked and traded him for two expiring contracts. That's what happened. Should have moved more guys. I definitely agree they should have moved more guys. You know what I'm saying? But then again, if you go out there and you look at some of the rumors that was going around, the Pistons had a price and they weren't budging off of it. They just wasn't budging. So when the Clippers didn't give them what they wanted for Markieff and Houston and Boston, I don't know if they didn't give them what they wanted for Christian Woods. It was a story that they declined to trade Christian Woods to Houston and Boston, or just Christian Woods was not tradable, or he was just like on a no trade list for them. Luke Kennard, Phoenix to give them what they wanted with the protection. So they basically said we're just gonna keep our players and move forward with them, or maybe move in the off season. But I definitely agree. I mean, I think Morris should have been gone. I think Luke Kennard should have been gone. At one point I think Derrick Rose should have been gone. I think it's a lot of different guys. If you're gonna trade Andre Drummond for nothing, that should have went. He said we were on pace for 32 wins this year. Let's not cry over Drummond. No, it's not the point that people crying over Drummond because of 32 games. You see your best player get traded for nothing. You know what I'm saying? That's the problem. But then again, they got two expiring contracts for him, so it cleared the cap space without the fear of him opting in. Who else needs to be traded? I mean, obviously you would like to trade Reggie Jackson, but you know what? He don't have an option year. That's going to be $18 million off the cap. So you're looking at around almost 55, 56, 50, almost 60 million in cap space created with Reggie Jackson, John Henson, and Brandon Knight moving on. So, you know what I'm saying? You're looking at almost 60 million in cap out of there. And whoever Langston Galloway, that's another 13 off the cap. So the Pistons gonna have a lot of cap to play with. And I'm gonna get to what else I want to talk about too about with this cap space and this rebuild. He said I ain't mad they traded him. We just didn't get nothing for him. Definitely agree. Drummond isn't doing. Paul said Drummond isn't going to do ish of note in Cleveland. Maybe where I think Drummond need to go somewhere like the Clippers or like Boston to be around a winning culture. But he went from Detroit to Cleveland, basically the same franchise. Bro, to be honest, they should have gave D Rose a staff job and let him play his contract out that way because there's no point of him playing because they're tanking, and him playing means they'll win. I think he meant true. You know what I'm saying? But if he doesn't, but people don't understand with Derrick Rose, if he doesn't play, he doesn't get paid by Adidas. So it's Adidas contract. It's rumored and this article's out there. I just use rumor just to cover my self any wrong parts. It's rumored that his brother and his best friend gets paid off of that Adidas contract. So Derrick Rose must play. This is why Derrick Rose haven't given up like Penny Hardaway, or he haven't given up like some other NBA players that, Antonio McDyess was one that could have gave up and didn't give up, because his Adidas contract is basically feeding his immediate family. So that's why Derrick Rose want to play. But for Derrick Rose, I just think he want to be comfortable. I think Derrick Rose want to be close to home, close to his nephew at the University of Detroit Mercy. That's what it is with Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose don't care about winning. Derrick Rose just care about being comfortable. Uh, win more, so it makes no sense. I agree. Um, they waited too long to trade Drummond. That's all exactly. I mean, that's common sense. But most people just can't get that common sense. But Detroit fan man, so when can we say the rebuilding begins? Feels like it should be now, but also kind of feels like telling them it's sign. Hold on, like telling them it's saying hold my beer. And I'm gonna get to that about the rebuild. You won't get a lot of Benjamin folks say you won't get a lot for guys who stat pad boards by not helping in the pick and roll situation. The struggles finishing around the win with the contract, and that's kind of a knock on Andre Drummond with that. His effort, his persona being soft on the court. That's what some of the anonymous executives said about him going to the Clippers, that not having the playoff experience, and people don't value Andre Drummond like some of the fans value him in Detroit, and that's why he didn't go to a situation to Boston and the Clippers, and also him pretty much not having any security past this year. He said, "Whoa, we trade Drummond for Detroit Legends Sportcast. Brandon Knight, who's making around 15.6 million. John Henson, who's making around 9.6, 9.7 million. They both have expiring contracts and a second round draft pick. If you didn't hear, Drummond get traded for Henson, Knight to Cleveland, second round pick from Cleveland, and Drummond going to Cleveland. So that is what it is. So Rose injury. Hold on, I lost that comment. Hold on. I lost that comment. We coming down. Oh, my screen freezing. Sorry, I lost your comment. It's a lot of comments. All right, I'm sorry. It's so many comments. All right. But yeah, let's continue. Then I'll get back to the comments. But people asking about what is this, a rebuild, or it don't feel like a rebuild. To be honest, I can't tell you. It should be a rebuild. They should tank. They should go out there with Diambo, Jordan Bone, Bruce Brown. If Kyrie Thomas healthy, Luke Kennard, Christian Wood, all the young players should be in the rotation. Don Maker, Tony Snell should be just, kind of be hero support. Derrick Rose, kind of be like a big brother, trying to manage his minutes a little bit. They should be getting the younger guys experience, veterans helping here and there, kind of in the coaching role. Markieff Morris, helping here and there. But they should definitely be in tanking mode. That's what I believe. He said Drake tweeted that he didn't get a heads up. Well, hey, you've been had a heads up for weeks. You was getting out of here. So we need a new front office. We don't have a general manager. We have an assistant general manager, Malik Rose. Stefanski, whose son is now the head coach for the Browns. He basically running the show. But I don't expect Henson. I don't expect Henson and Brandon Knight to stay past the season this year. But Christian Woods. Talk about him for a minute. Christian Woods was actually it was some suitors coming out to him. Boston, Houston wanted him, and the Pistons refused to trade him. So obviously the Pistons see something in Christian Woods. They kept Christian Woods instead of keeping Joe Johnson, and it seemed to be the right decision. So I think not trading Christian Woods was the right decision. He got a lot of potential. Maybe need to get in the weight room a little bit, work on his defense. And if that happens, I think they got some good pieces to go around with Diambo and Christian Woods and Sivi Malachi. I know some teams call about Malachi and Langston Galloway, but this team is pretty much, it doesn't have an identity. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't. Are we tanking? Are we trying to win? Are we trying to make the playoffs? How good or how bad is the difference going to be without Andre Drummond is the question. So, obviously we probably won't see Drummond come back under any circumstances. He wants to unfollow the team on all social media, and then he wants to heads up and cry about it. We moving on. I know it's going to be some people upset for the compensation, but you if he was gonna opt in, then they didn't want to be stuck in the same position they was next year. Next year they've been going through the same thing. Should we trade Drummond? Should we not trade Drummond? Should we pay him? You know what I'm saying? If he balls out and you got to pay him and then he regresses again, that's the question. But the Pistons is about to turn over a new leaf. All their big contracts is going aside for Blake Griffin. All right. Blake Griffin is making about 36, 37 million a year. Reggie 18 come off. Drummond 20, 28 million gonna come off when Brandon Knight and Henson get let go next season. I mean after the season. Uh Obviously Langston Galloway 13 million come off. So the Pistons are going to probably try to rebuild through the draft. And I think they should rest some of their veteran players or play them minimum minutes and try to get the highest draft pick they can, because it's time to rebuild. Obviously, would I had like to see them bring in Kyle Kuzma or Kelly Oubre? Yeah, but guess what? You got all offseason for that. You got all offseason. So you probably won't see Thon Maker back next year neither if his contract is up. So, that is what it is. So, they probably keep Wood. They probably keep Sivy, Diambo, Luke Kennard, Bruce Brown, and they just had to be a young team for a long time. Derrick Rose said he came here to win a championship. So, what is the logic? I don't understand. As a fan, it's no real reason to watch him on a team where they ain't going nowhere. Retirement makes sense right now for him. The problem with him retiring is he don't get paid from Adidas then. His family don't get paid off of it. So, we all knew it wasn't realistic for him winning the championship. I think he said that to make it sound good. So, who's gonna play center for the Pistons? Probably Christian Woods or Thong Maker, as they call him in the chat. That's a good one. Thong Maker. So, at the end of the day, we'll see what Dwayne Casey gonna do. We gotta see if they committed to Dwayne Casey as well too. That's a great question. If they are committed to Dwayne Casey, if it's truly a rebuild, or do they bring another coach in? Which I said they should have did a rebuild. If people remember, I said before they hired Dwayne Casey that the kid from used to play for the Spurs and he's on the Spurs assistants. That they should have went for him and just did a rebuild. But the Pistons wanted to see what they can make happen. And you know who you got to blame for this mess? Who the NBA got to blame for Kawhi Leonard and Paul George being able to go easily to the Clippers? Stan Van Gundy is responsible for all this stuff that we going through. Stan Van Gundy messed up our team. He traded all our assets. He brought Reggie Jackson here and paid him all that money. I mean, he traded Tobias and them for Blake Griffin and opened up the door for the Clippers to become the Clippers. Stan Van Gundy did more damage to this organization than Tom Gores can do, but Tom Gores allowed him to. He did more damage than Joe Dumars did. I mean, we ran Joe Dumars out the door for piss poor drafting and some bad moves with Charlie Villanueva, Ben Simmons, and Josh Smith. But, Stan Van Gundy just totally destroyed his team. Him and Bowers didn't know exactly what they was doing, and they refused to tank for years. And then when they got in that middle range, I mean, they didn't draft they didn't draft Devin Booker. They took Stanley Johnson. You know what I'm saying? They didn't draft Giannis. They took Kentavious Caldwell Pope. I think they missed out on C.J. McCollum. They missed out on Rudy Gobert. They missed out on a lot of people in that mid range. You know what I'm saying? So Stan Van Gundy is who. This is the direct effect of Stan Van Gundy and some of his idiotic moves. Don't get mad at Stefanowski. You can't get mad at that man. I mean, you got an owner that don't know what direction he want to go in. The owner's probably telling them, like, I really want to win. Let's see if we can win now. Because just think about this for a minute, okay? When they moved from the Palace, at the Palace of Auburn Hills, Tom Gores as the owner and Davidson was the owner, they got all of the parking. Let that sink in for a minute. He got all of the parking money. He got all of the parking money. He moves downtown. He loses parking. He's losing money moving the team to Detroit. Let that sink in for a minute. He's losing money moving the team to Detroit. So in order to make some of that money back or keep that money flowing, Tom Gores says, okay, let's see if we can win now and put a winner on the court now. In Stefanowski, they tried to do that. You know what I'm saying? This is Stan Van Gundy. This Stan Van Gundy for all of it. You know what I'm saying? This is Stan Van Gundy call. Don't get pissed at Malik Rose and Casey and Stefanowski and those guys. This is truly truly just a Stan Van Gundy mess. He depleted us of every piece of talent we pretty had. And, obviously, what gave him the opportunity to do so is when Brandon Jennings went down with the Achilles injury. Because at that point where Brandon Jennings was balling, they had beat LeBron and the Cavaliers. The Pistons was really on the up and up. In the way Brandon Jennings was playing, it was no way Stan Van Gundy could have justified trading for Reggie Jackson. But when Brandon Jennings didn't wait to go down past the trade deadline, when he went down before the trade deadline, that spelled the end. Because Tobias Harris, Marcus Morris, all good players. They were really good players. Ronaldo, what's going on? This team had some depth, it had some talent. It didn't have superstar. And they sold off of Blake Griffin. As soon as Blake Griffin got here, he got injured again. So now instead of you being in complete rebuild mode with as much cap space as you can have in this world, now you have Blake Griffin contract sitting there on one leg. So Blake Griffin is tied up for another 2 or 3 seasons or something like that. So before y'all pass the blame on everybody here, Stan Van Gundy fault. Do you think the Pistons are going to make any moves this offseason since they're going to have? Probably not. It's not it's not a lot of big names coming out in free agent this offseason. So I think it's about drafting players. That's what it's about. That's a rebuild about. I think they tried to quick rebuild before with Josh Smith and Villanueva and Ben Gordon, and before that where they did some offseason moves to get, Chucky Atkins, Ben Wallace deal, and, Rip Hamilton, Jerry Stackhouse deal, and, drafting Tayshaun Prince, bringing Chauncey in, finding a way to get Memo Core and Bobby Sura and stuff of that nature. That's those days. That'll never happen again. Joe Dumars caught lightning in a bottle. This time they have to do what they did with Grant Hill, but put a complete team around whoever they gonna build around. Maybe DeYumbo or maybe whoever it may be. They have to put a complete team around whoever gonna be their star. You know what I'm saying? You can't build this team like you did with the going to work Pistons with Rip and Billups and them. You got to have star power. You know what I'm saying? So they got to draft well. They got to get up there high. And just because you don't get the number one pick, that don't mean it's everything. Markelle Fultz, Lonzo Ball, and then I don't know exactly how it went, but then you had Tatum, Josh Jackson, and you had some really good players. Donovan Mitchell later in that draft. You know what I'm saying? So you got to just give yourself an opportunity to get up in the top 5 to get those type of talents. Doncic went Trae Young went 4, 5, 6. Marvin Bagley. So the drafts are getting deeper and deeper. Each year it's getting heavier and heavier. I mean, this year you got a kid from Georgia that can go number 1. LaMelo Ball can go number 1. James Wiseman can go number 1. You got another kid over there. I forget his name. Was my boy sent it to me. I just seen him again today. He playing overseas. So it's a lot of talent. It's a lot of talent. It's a ton of talent, but you got to be able to identify that talent, man. And they got to get a start via the draft and build around that star. But Andre wasn't getting re-signed. Yeah, but they feared that he may opt back in, and that would have been $30 million gone. So, real talk with Dwayne, what's going on? He said, "Well, I'm not mad because we gonna have a chance at Coleman or Cole or Wiseman, and that's another one. Greg Anthony's son, man, Cole Anthony. So." It depends. You might not have a chance at Cole Anthony or Wiseman. You know why? Because the Pistons might go out there and try to win, and then they're going to be like that Caldwell Pope, Andre Drummond, Greg Monroe type of part of the draft, a 7 to 15 type of range in the draft. So they got to completely tank. With Derrick Rose, maybe they buy out Derrick Rose. Anybody think about that? Maybe they buy out Derrick Rose. They could make the playoffs. That would be the Piston thing to do. They could make the playoffs. Don't be surprised. They could. They didn't really make the playoffs last year. They backed in because of Charlotte fell apart. That really could happen. That really could happen. That's the same old Lions Piston thing to do. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it's gonna happen. If you look at the Eastern Conference, who do we have there? I know Chicago is somewhere in there as well, down there with us. And I don't understand Chicago. They got a lot of talent. Chicago Bulls got a lot of talent, but they're not doing nothing. So yeah, the Pistons 10th right now. So they a little bit out there. They're about 6 games out. 5, 6 games out in the loss column. You know, they number 10 now. You know what I'm saying? They 2 games above the 11th spot in the loss column to the Washington Wizards. So, you know, they can fall real quick. So I think, you know, buying out Derrick Rose, anybody ever thought that makes sense? Buying out Derrick Rose. You know what I'm saying? I know I hear it's talks about Tristan Thompson might be bought out since Andre Drummond there. He said, why is this franchise so horrible? They don't have any direction. That's problem. There's nobody that's the general manager. The owner don't know the owner want to win now to recoup some of the money he lost by moving from the Palace. That ain't how it works. You got 2 ways of getting good in the NBA. Either be Boston, LA, or you be a sexy destination like Miami, and players want to come play there, and you are an attractive free agent team, or you got to draft the right way. How Philly did it? Philly drafted the right way. Did they get some misses with Markelle Fultz and Noel, the Noel kid from Kentucky? Yeah, but did they get some hits? Yeah, they hit with Joel Embiid, they hit with Ben Simmons, and that's what they needed. So it is what it is. CJ, this coming draft is not very depth heavy. It's stacked though. You don't know how deep a draft can be into the tournament come. You're gonna see a lot of people like with the NFL draft, people saying, "Oh, we should take Okuda." What if Okuda go out there and run a 4.5 or 4.6? You know, what if Okuda get out there and have a heart issue? Or, you know, what if Joe Burrows get out there and they find out that, you know, he's smoking weed or it come out that, you know, something else happen. Anything can happen. When it's early in the draft process, anything happen. You're gonna see some dudes in the March Madness tournament that's gonna rise up. You're gonna see some dudes that's gonna fall. You're gonna see some dudes that's gonna get in trouble. So that's the draft process. It's really premature for the NBA and the NFL right now. So yeah, like I said before, it is what it is. I think buying out Derrick Rose is what they're gonna have to do. You know, or sit him. One of the two. Don Maker in the starting lineup should secure a top 5 pick. I mean, you know, with Don Maker, I think it's a youth. He got the ability. It's youth. Blake Griffin gonna be gone next season. Watch. That only happens at the trade deadline. I don't think nobody's stupid enough to take Blake Griffin. Coming off injury. He got to showcase himself, but it's gonna be tough to get him. Buy him out and go where they not gonna buy him out unless he asks. I don't get that one. Blake about to be as useful as a broken down. But it's okay. It's okay, Benjamin, if Blake ain't useful. Blake really ain't holding much up. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not a good free agent class next year. You know what I'm saying? Blake gonna be useful in the locker room, teaching the guys how to prepare for games, and you need veterans there. You need a Derrick Rose, you need a Blake Griffin there. You need, you know, Markeith. You need Tony Snell for the young guys there. You need those type of guys in the locker room, but he don't really change much. You know, now that you got Andre contract off the books after this season, Henson and Knight contract run off. You got Reggie off the contract, off the books. You got Langston 13. I think that's what he's making off the books. The Pistons going to have a lot more flexibility. But you're not going to attract a big name free agent anyway. So you just got to build through the draft. So the Pistons got to be bad, terrible, and then get up there and get picks. And that's how you get attractions here. If you can get a Cole Anthony, a Wiseman, the guy from Georgia, I forget his name, or you get LaMelo Ball, I mean, it works. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see. Would you get like 30 minutes a game? CJ Wood should get 30 minutes. It depends if he can stay, if his body can handle it and he can stay out of foul trouble. But yeah, Woods is definitely gonna be able to showcase himself, but he got to put some weight on, man. He definitely got to get stronger. To be honest, I would have called the Bulls and asked for Chris Dunn, Denzel Valentine, Zach LaVine, and give them Drummond and Thon Maker. Well, they wouldn't have wanted Andre Drummond. They got Wendell Carter. He ain't been doing much. He been injured, but I do like Zach LaVine and Chris Dunn. You know, they got Kobe White over there too. I like his game too. But yeah, I like Zach LaVine game. Zach LaVine deserved to be on the winner. Thon Maker should be paying the Pistons. Building around Sayoko. I mean, it's not determined if that's the guy you want to build around. You know, he got to show that over the next couple. You know, by the time he's 22, you should know that. But he definitely looked like the most promising player on the team. But you want to probably build with him right now. You want to, you know, Oubre would have been nice to put him on the wing with or Kuzma. Oubre probably more because Oubre gives you two lockdown defenders. It kind of give you a young Paul George and Kawhi Leonard type of effect on your defense. But they still need that point guard that can come in and command the floor like a general. That's what they really need. And Cole Anthony, LaMelo Ball. A lot of people really thought LaMelo Ball was a joke, but you see now Lonzo is actually producing for New Orleans, and it just seemed like Lonzo just wasn't healthy, and it was a rumor going out there that Lonzo Ball actually had a secret knee injury that he didn't reveal. And now Lonzo's starting to picking up. But when I tell you I've been watching LaMelo Ball in Australia, LaMelo Ball got serious game. You know what I'm saying? He do. He is basically the wave of the new guard. He's the Luka Doncic, the Trae Young type of guard. He got that type of game, and if you can get the kid to commit on the defensive side of the floor, you definitely might, have a star for years to come. But Wood gotta play better defense. I agree. It's time for Jordan Boone the ball. Detroit biggest mistake was getting rid of players who average double doubles. Get rid of a player, but you don't want to pay that man though. I mean, Andre Drummond. What people got to understand is this: one, it's no longer a big man's league. It's not Ewing and Elijah Wan and Sam Perkins, Rick Smits, Ralph Sampson, and from middle to lower tier guys. It's no longer that league no more. Now they really trying to make the five extinct. So this is why you see Karl Anthony Towns getting out here, expanding his game to 3-point land. Anthony Davis expanding his game to 3-point land. This is why you see Andre Drummond out here shooting the jumper. Is because they trying to make the five extinct. Small ball, they trying to make it the future. So you could say, oh, they shouldn't have got rid of Andre Drummond. You're going to have people like that. But what did Andre Drummond bring other than rebounds? Nothing. He barely could put the ball back in the hole. Andre Drummond wasn't dominant or semi-dominant or good on defense. He was okay on defense, and he was below average on offense, way below average compared to some of his contemporaries. And that's why they got rid of him. Just because you average a double-double, it didn't give us a championship. Those numbers can be deceiving. Oh, he had 20 and 20. You know what I'm saying? Well, where's those numbers at versus Joel Embiid? Where's those numbers at versus Cat? If Drummond getting 20, he giving up 20 or 30. That's the problem. He wasn't dominant on one side of the ball. Even if Drummond was what he is offensively, but he was a dominant Ben Wallace, Dikembe Mutombo type of rim defender, Drummond would have got his money. Drummond wasn't good on either side of the ball. That's the problem. He was just a good rebounder. They're not going to get Fred and Brandon Ingram. I don't know what you meant for me. Probably talking to somebody. You gotta have a top 5 pick because this draft is far from terrible. Hell no, it's not. You got 2 kids over in Australia, LaMelo. You got another kid overseas who really got. I can't remember this dude's name. I'm gonna tell you his name right now. I'm probably not gonna fucking be able to pronounce it. But hell no, this draft far from terrible. Hold on. I'm gonna look this kid name up right now. Hold on, shit. Hold on. Give me 1 minute. His name is Killian Hayes. Killian. He's overseas. I like the kid game. There's a lot of good guys in this draft. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of good guys in this draft. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of star power, man. Well, potential star. We can't call some of these dudes star. It may not be this Zion Williamson type of guy, but that Killian Hayes kid is really, really fucking good. You know what I'm saying? Then you're gonna have some overseas talent as well. In due time. Drummond was going to get traded anyway. We was not about to pay him that money and miss the playoffs every year. Agree? Yeah, they empty stats. Hold on, they empty stats. I was told this empty stats, bro. Trying to tell them BS. This will always be a talent league. Only the Pistons fans underappreciate. Yeah, it's a talent league. You got to have talent, but Drummond didn't have the talent offensively or defensively. That's the problem. Had he been dominant on one side of the ball, he would have got paid. The new owner sells the Pistons. You trade Dre, I'm never coming back. I'm burning all my Pistons jerseys. You, the Lions, are bums, so don't wear Lions jerseys. Now, no more for the Pistons. I mean, at the end of the day, was you? I mean, I want to ask Lynn something. Are you really gonna pay Andre Drummond $40 million a year? That's the question. Is Anthony Edwards a point guard? Is that the kid from Georgia? Might be a combo guard. That's what everybody is anyway. I think the dude is a combo guard. We have stash players overseas. That's going to be good. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I got some more questions. I answer some questions, but with Andre Drummond, I mean, we'll see what happens. If the Cavaliers bring him back, they pay him what he want, or if he goes somewhere else, I think that's going to be an interesting thing this summer with Andre Drummond if he opts in or hit the trade market. It was over. It's moving fast. He said it was over after that Tristan Thompson game. Oh yeah, Tristan Thompson. Man, I was playing FanDuel that night, and I had some work I had to get done. And when I'm busy or I'm at work, I don't pay attention to it. And at first, Tristan Thompson started off slow, and Drummond started off pretty fast that night. And I looked up, and Tristan Thompson had like 70 fucking fantasy points. I'm like, damn, what happened? Andre Drummond was just doing pretty good. Jared Allen dogged him last year too. People forget that. I remember first game of the year, Jared Allen dogged him out. Hold on for my laptop die. Hold on. There we go. But yeah, I was looking like, man, I said he straight dog walked Drummond, but it happens. When Joel Embiid, he did some things. So he said Drummond is. We're not saying that he's not a solid player. We just saying that he's not dominant on the side of the floor. That's what we saying. Not saying that he's not. Obviously, you solid. Anybody that can go out there and get 15 rebounds a game and dunk and run like he can is solid. But he not worth the supermax contract. If Blake Griffin wasn't here, they probably would have paid him. If that Blake Griffin contract wasn't on it, they wouldn't have paid him. But if you keep Blake Griffin at 38 and you put Drummond at 38, who do you get to come here and play with them? Chrissy say Drummond is the biggest softest center in the paint, and he cries for free throws that he can't shoot. Got all the potential. He got no post game whatsoever. 20 games aren't even impactful. I have to agree with most of that. I'm pissed Tyreek Evans smoked his way out the league. I mean, one thing, was it weed that he got caught for? That's bullshit. Marijuana should not even be on the ban list. Let's get that. Let's get that right. Marijuana should not be on the ban list. That's bull stuff. That's bull jive. People need to write these days. Josh Smith contract is over. Drummond contract is now gone. There's hope for a new future. All right. Yeah, you're right. Depends on who's gonna be making these draft picks. How you get big free agents here is you build the young team. Are you surprised that the Lakers and Raptors made no moves? No, I'm not. The Lakers gonna be in the buyout market. The Raptors, they cool. Who could the Raptors could have got that was gonna help them? To be honest, I mean, Siakam doing this thing. They got good chemistry right now. You always get the buyout market. Maybe they might look for Darren Collinson or something like that. So no, I'm not shocked. I didn't think Kyle Kuzma was getting traded anyway. They did too much to keep him, but I think the Lakers don't have enough right now. But they'd probably be in the market for the buyout. I don't think they had enough to compete with the Clippers. I mean, let alone the Nuggets. The Nuggets is a really, really deep team. I mean, one thing that I like about the Nuggets is the depth. And another thing about the Nuggets is the Michael kid. I want the Pistons to take him. That kid can really play the game. He hurt his back. The Pistons traded the pick, and I think they moved back or something. And they didn't take him. And if he comes to light for Denver, don't be surprised if Denver don't come out the West in the next couple of years. That kid gonna be a star if he stays healthy. You can pay 3 solid NBA players, starter bench, for what he's getting paid. Yeah, I mean that's a lot of money. If Blake Griffin wasn't there, Drummond would still be here. He said, "I keep Drummond over Blake." Yeah, I mean, how can you can't move Drummond? I mean, you can't move Blake Griffin with his knee injury. You know, Blake Griffin got 2 or 3 more years on his contract. Who gonna play him not to? Who gonna pay him not to play? He almost approaching Chandler Parsons status. So it wasn't a choice. If they had a choice where they can actually trade a healthy Blake Griffin or a Drummond, I guarantee you Blake Griffin would have got traded and probably Drummond would have got paid. They just couldn't keep both, and they couldn't move Blake Griffin, so you move Drummond. Drummond's on pace to be the 8th highest paid player. Will crack y'all smoking Benjamin. Supermax players are Anthony Davis type big man. Drummond has the ceiling and has been hit. Don't see him doesn't mean he can't improve. Just means is it going to make big jump than what he is now. I mean, he young, but I don't see it neither. You know, by now he should be having some go-to post moves. Blake way older than Drummond. Yeah. Andre sent his cousin in there to defend him. Mock drafts have us at 7. Morris and the Lakers have 7 drafting RJ Hampton. That's the other kid that's over there in Australia with LaMelo. I didn't want to get the name wrong, but I'll see it. Michael say, like the Clippers got Marcus Morris and the Lakers get nobody. And they also got Isaiah Thomas too. You know what I'm saying? So the Clippers, you know, they still in the Darren Collison race. Stefanowski has ever and will ever make. Why couldn't the Cavs throw in the bag of peanuts at least 2? Not to mention we seeing one of the most loyal Pistons in a long time, and they do him dirty. I don't think they did him dirty. Like I said before, it's a business. So you got to understand. It's a business. It's a business. It's just you have Blake Griffin there. You can't trade Blake Griffin. You had to move Andre Drummond. They wasn't paying both of them. So it's a business. You know, Drummond wanted to be here, but you can't pay him $40 million. He's not that type of player. He said, y'all sleeping on Drummond. Man, okay. I mean, if we sleeping on Drummond, what's the other 30-some teams in the NBA doing? Because nobody wanted Drummond. Clippers chose not to go for him. Celtics need him, chose not to go for him. Atlanta didn't want him. So we not the only people sleeping on Drummond. He said, why do people, Jay Payne, why do people keep saying we didn't get nothing for Dre? His value was super low, and it's the same for Reggie. It's hard to trade someone with low trade value. The future is bright for the Pistons. Well, his value was only low because he didn't have years beyond this year. So Drummond and Blake Griffin should have got traded at the deadline last year, or when they would have was on that 15-7 or that whatever that 17 game losing streak they was on. Soon as they bounced back right before the All-Star break, Blake Griffin and Drummond should have been traded last year, and it was a trade market for Blake Griffin as early as this offseason. You know, it was talks about a Denver trade last year. It was talks about was another trade out there. It was Denver, it was Atlanta, and the Pistons held on to him. So I mean, that is what it is. We all make mistakes. They said IT getting released. Damn, his career over with. Crazy. Fans not mad that Dre wanted the max. Mad that we got nothing back. I mean, yeah. I mean, they should have traded him last year. It's nothing that Elijah that you can really say. Had they traded him last year, they would have got something for him and Blake Griffin. You know what I'm saying? They would have had draft picks or something, but hey, it is what it is. I couldn't believe it when I seen that stupid trade either, man. That can kind of make me mad. You know, it's a business. You still have to treat players the right in order for them to want to come here. How did they do him dirty though? That's the question. How did he knew he was getting traded? He unfollowed the Pistons on all social media. They didn't do him dirty. You know, he knew he was getting traded. It wasn't no secret. Wasn't no secret. But I mean, I can't wait till the trade Blake. Also, Blake ain't getting traded for until he show he healthy. Blake might play out his contract here. Blake contract messed up Drummond chances to remain a Piston. That's what I said. Exactly what Patrick Ernest saying. For the entire career, Tom Gore's wanted Drummond to be forever the Pistons. It was just out of Tom Gore's control. Yeah, it was out of his control. It wasn't him. They wanted to keep him. They didn't tell him he was traded. He found out on Twitter. Well, it's life. He ain't the only one. That's life. You know what I'm saying? Go is Drummond's burner account. Stan Van Gundy messed us hard. Should have had Michael Porter. That's his name. Excuse me, Michael Porter injured As for Julius Randle, Blake overpay. Yeah, we should have had a Michael Porter, man. And he's a really good player. He probably, if he stay healthy, gonna be a star. You know, you put him with Diambo, that's nice. Them nice wings right there. You just gotta find you a point guard. Detroit going and regret getting rid of Blake over Drummond. I mean, get rid of Drummond. Well, they couldn't do nothing about it. You can't trade somebody who injured. Like Blake Griffin. They should have traded him last year. But what people forgetting about, he didn't have no value because he didn't have no structure past this year. Had he said, I'm going to opt in my contract next year, then he would have been traded for much, much more. We want to get rid of Blake too. You can't. I'm trying to explain that to y'all. He is injured. Coming off of two knee surgeries. Can't. If they can get rid of Blake Griffin, Andre Drummond still be in the Piston uniform. Balling in the Piston uniform. He have a new contract, new Ferrari. He'll be a Piston for life. His name would be going in the rafters. Win, lose, or draw. But what about Reggie? Reggie just go. Nobody wanted Reggie Jackson. Reggie like that ugly ass dog at the pound. He gonna be there forever. Nobody want Reggie Jackson. Reggie Jackson better get prepared to go over to Australia, China, to chase Stephon Marbury record. He better be prepared to go to Greece. See, Reggie might be in the G League next year. Detroit could have bought out Blake Griffin. Yeah, he ain't buying out that contract. You out your rabbit ass mind. You think Blake Griffin, Miss Black D, what's going on? You think Blake Griffin? You think? Hold on, man. I'm gonna read Blake Griffin contract. Let me read this contract out to you. You think Blake Griffin? 1 second. Blake Griffin got 2 more seasons beyond this season. This season, hold on, he got 1 more, excuse me. Hold on. No, 2 more beyond this year. He making 34 million this year. Next year, he making 36. Almost 37. The following year, he making 39. You think they about to buy out that contract? He ain't giving no discounts. He gonna want almost the whole $80 million. Plus half of this year. They not about to buy that contract out. That's crazy. That's crazy. They not about to buy that contract. That's too much money to buy out. This ain't Sam's Club. This ain't wholesale. Out your mind, you think they about to buy that big? If they could, they would. Trust me. Artist Taylor, this team is ish shows Ed don't know ish. I would wait the next 2 years. I would have waited next year to move Drummond. You can't wait next year to move Drummond. There's no next year. Do people understand that? There's no next year. If he does not opt into his contract next year, there's no next year. And even if he opts into his contract, you're in the same position. Team's not going to want Drummond because 1 of his soft persona. 2, there's no years beyond next year. That's the problem. It ain't no next year. Hey, what the Pistons get in return? Brandon Knight, John Henson, 2 expiring contracts and a 2nd-round pick. And Drummond went to Cleveland. The only problem I have with choosing to trade guys instead of pay them is that you're not going to get another max-level player to come to Detroit, so it doesn't really matter how much. It does because you don't want to go into the luxury. It hampers who you can put around them. Drummond ain't a max player. Let me get this together. Drummond is not a max player. A max player is LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, James Harden, Russell Westbrook, McDonald's, Burger King, Chuck, get back online. Giannis, those are max players. Kenny, Shaq, those are the max players in the league. Drummond ain't in that realm. He ain't no AD. That nigga ain't even Pascal Siakam. I'm talking about max player. That's the reason why you are where you are now. You know what I'm saying? This dude don't defend the rim. He don't score. Come on, man. Yeah, I wouldn't pay him max money neither. Then you go into luxury tax. So now $80 million of your cap room is being paid to Drummond and Blake Griffin. Out your mind. AD injury prone. At the end of the day, he balling in LA right now, ain't he? They got the number 1 seed out there, him and Brian. He balling. Man, would you rather have AD or Andre Drummond? I'd rather have AD for 40, 50 games than Drummond for 82 games. Trust me. Please. Reggie Jackson be gone too. How long is it going to take to move him from all the ads and posters? That's crazy. His jersey about to be at TJ Maxx for $5 tomorrow. I didn't know Brandon Knight still was in the league. That was one of the worst. I knew Brandon Knight couldn't play. I knew he wasn't that Kentucky guy. I'll let him test the free agent because ain't coming back from a tour. It didn't matter. It's not about that. It's about getting the money free. They didn't want to pay him. They didn't want to go into the luxury tax. That's why they didn't want. Tom Gore didn't want to go into the luxury tax. And then he was going, and it was rumors that he might opt in. So they just didn't want to pay him. They made that decision. Good luck in Cleveland to him. We should have. I was at least Kevin Love, but Kevin Love the same thing. That's like adding another big contract, injury prone. Kevin Love and Blake Griffin can't play together. No way. They're the same player, 2 injury prone fours. No, it wasn't that's all Andre Drummond worth. It's just that he didn't have no security past this year. That's what people forget. Nobody about to rent Andre Drummond this year and give a first round draft pick and he walked. That's what it was. And then on top of that, he wanted a max contract. Oh, you don't want no damn DeMarcus Cousins, bro. Cousins done. Ain't he facing like a felony for threatening to kill somebody? Like, Cousins done. Cousins done. He probably be an Antonio at best. He probably be an Antonio McDyess type of player for the rest of his career. What he was in Detroit. And I'm young enough to remember. Oh, I'm old enough to remember when Antonio McDyess was one of the 5 best players in the NBA. At one point, it was a discussion that he may be the best player in the NBA when he played for Denver. If you didn't get an opportunity to see a young Antonio McDyess, he was a sight to see. Antonio McDyess was a hell of a player. He said, "Hell, we traded Knight for Jennings a while back." That Brandon Knight had blew his Achilles out though. I mean, Jennings. That's how Reggie got here. The way Stan Van Gundy was just an idiot. Why not trade for Kevin Porter? I don't think they was giving him up. We could have drafted Kevin Porter, but they traded the late pick they got from Milwaukee for like 3 or 4 second. The Pistons is just like, dude, just hire me. I could do a better job. We could have had Kevin Porter, but then they traded the 4 first round draft pick with second round draft picks. They traded his rights for second round draft picks. It was stupid. That was the dumbest thing the Pistons ever did. As Edward Smith, teams like Detroit have to draft well, and they need cap space to take on bad contracts to acquire other bad contracts with picks attached. Yeah, true. Indiana, Detroit, they got to draft well, or they got to take questionable superstar players or all-star players teams don't want to pay no more. That's how teams get in. That's why the NBA don't have no parity, because all the players want to play in Miami, LA, Boston. They want to drive. The lottery is fixed anyway. They want to drive people to those type of markets. The NBA don't want parity. They don't want Atlanta to be good. They never want Detroit. You ever notice about the Detroit Pistons that they act like we never won championships. Like when we was the only team, and it's this perception out there. It's this perception out here that it was Bird, Magic, Jordan. You ever peep that out? Bird, Magic, Jordan. It went that way. You know what I'm saying? Or Magic, Bird, Jordan, however you want to say. In actuality, it was Bird, Magic, Bird, Isaiah, Jordan. Isaiah is the one that took care of Boston. Isaiah was the one that took care of the Lakers and all of them. Jordan didn't get past none of them. Jordan got past. Let me tell you this real quick before I get off. Jordan got Jordan got past us because they changed the rules. The flagrants, text, that was all put in because of Detroit. They took hand checking out because of us and the Knicks and some of the tough, Pacer teams. The NBA did anything to abolish the memories of us winning because they don't want Detroit, Indiana, Milwaukee, Minnesota, Atlanta, Oklahoma City, New Orleans, Charlotte. They don't want those. They want it to be LA and Boston every year. That's what they want. Miami. They want that. They don't. They don't. It's no parity in sports. And even when we won in 03, 04, you know what I'm saying? They changed the rules again on how to play defense. They try to make it where we can never win one. They don't want the Pistons to be what the Pistons is now. The only reason Chicago was good is because of Jordan. Look at Chicago before and after Jordan. Nothing. This is why the NBA ain't popular no more. The NBA is far from organic. Even further from the NFL because at least in the NFL, players get old, they retire at the drop of a dime, and it's harder to control in the NBA game. It's one game. You don't have 6 or 7 games to decide a series. You got injuries and stuff of that nature. So NFL got the parity that sports fans want. The NHL got the best parity, and MLB, they got great parity. Anybody can win any given moment in the NHL, and if they get hot with pitching and hitting in the MLB. They don't want Detroit teams winning shit. They don't want Atlanta teams winning nothing. They don't want New Orleans or some of these other teams to win anything. This is why they erase what we've done in the NBA. The NBA is the most rigged American sports league ever. It's more rigged than anything else you will see. What the hell is a superstar call? Let that sink in for a minute. A superstar call. Only James Harden get that call. Only LeBron can get that call. What kind of shit is that? What is that? NBA don't want Detroit to win nothing. They don't want Indiana to win. They don't want Cleveland to win. They don't want Philadelphia to win. They don't want these teams to win nothing. It's this perception of ratings. That's all it is. That's why they want. That's why they let LeBron get there every year or try to. It's ratings. So you got to know your history. When you're talking about basketball, go back and look. Every time it was a major change in sports, it was always a team like Detroit involved. You know what I'm saying? Even when us and the Spurs were playing, they changed the game. They changed defense. So the Spurs weren't making it and we weren't making no more. So it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? But ain't nothing too much more you could say, man. Obviously we'll see what happened in the offseason. I think Langston, Reggie, Henson and Knight probably gonna walk. So you're gonna have a ton of cap space. See what Blake Griffin health is. Blake Griffin probably gonna have to play a good first half of the season in the 2020-21 season. If he do that, you'll see Blake Griffin gone. Obviously, I don't see too much movement going in free agency. I see the Pistons being a young team with veterans like Derrick Rose being here next year. And they probably get some more veterans to stick around, Tony Snell. And basically, they're going to be a bad team. They're going to try to draft some players. And, and if they do it the right way by 2025, I think the Pistons are going to be, solid contenders, But it is what it is. People blaming Stefanowski. The first person you got to blame is Stan Van Gundy and Bowers for destroying the Pistons and destroying our assets. Stefanowski is only doing what Tom Gore is asking him to do. And I'm pretty sure he had to convince Tom Gore to let Drummond go. So it's basically on him. But it is what it is. I definitely appreciate everybody for checking in. Once again, don't forget we on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Reach out to the email if you have a business question, inquiry, sponsorship, video request. Keep sharing the videos. Want to make a donation to the channel? That link's in the description. Best way to donate is share the video. Don't forget checking out the channel out Goodfellas Sports TV for more sports, music, news, and entertainment right here on YouTube. That is Goodfellas Sports TV. And somebody says, Gen Z say we could have moved Galloway and got some. You probably wasn't gonna get nothing but a second round pick for Galloway. So that's probably why they didn't move him. But once again, appreciate the love, support. I'm gonna try to go live tomorrow with some Detroit Lions talk, and then those will be the lives for the week. Appreciate it. Much love and support. He said, I don't believe in conspiracy. No, it's not a conspiracy theory. It's facts. You know what I'm saying? It's a fact that they act like Jordan, defeated the Lakers and the Boston Celtics. No, it's a fact. Go look through your NBA history and see why they put in techs and flagrant fouls. They did it because of the Pistons. You know what I'm saying? That's what you got to look at. Talking about conspiracy theories, that's a fucking fact. You just don't know your NBA history. Just like Shaquille O'Neal, when they asked Shaquille O'Neal, Ray's on what's going on. Just like they asked Shaquille O'Neal where he wanted to play at. He said he wanted to play somewhere warm. He ended up in Orlando. Just like they fixed the lottery for Patrick Ewing. You know what I'm saying? People talking about conspiracy theories. Learn your NBA history. This ain't no joke. Jordan, when you couldn't hand check Jordan no more, he became invincible. You know what I'm saying? These are facts. You can go ask Tim Donaghy. Go get an interview with him. Go get an interview with him. He said they did it because no, the product sucked now. The product was great in the 80s. The product was great in the 90s. This NBA ain't no damn NBA. This shit suck. This ain't no NBA. This is what y'all call NBA. Isaiah Thomas and them, they was getting 120 and 130 points without 20,000 3-pointers. This NBA suck. This ain't no damn. This ain't the man. I'd have paid for league pass in the 90s. You know what I'm saying? I'd have paid for the league pass in the 90s. But these ain't no more rivalries no more. And I hate the rant, but ain't no more rivalries no more. Everybody love each other. There's no more bad blood in the league no more. Everybody want to hug and exchange jerseys no more. It's the AA unification. You know what I'm saying? But hey, that is what it is. People believe what you want to believe, but I ain't gonna argue with nobody that don't know the history of the NBA. But once again, appreciate it. Hit the subscribe button, bell icon button, share the video. Much love. We gone.